All right, so my name is Georgina Baba, and I am one of the training and account managers for Attainment Company. Today, I'll be presenting on our web-based secondary literacy solution and the importance of results. So just a few things that I'd like to mention. I'm going to be recording the webinar, and also our chat option is unavailable, but I will be giving you my contact information at the end of the presentation in case you have any questions. Also, as a disclaimer, all the student information, names, and data in this PowerPoint or in this presentation are for demonstration purposes, and they are not actual data of any real students. So I use my own children and our names of my family in order to come up with this presentation. So I just wanted to put that out there. So I want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you for everything that you all are doing during these uncertain times. You all have come together to do what is in the best interest of students. Just know that we're all in the same boat together, and we will get through these tough times and be better at the end of it all. So thank you again for everything that you're doing. Thank you for joining me on this webinar, continuing that professional development so that you can assist your students, parents, etc., in a better way. So hopefully, if you're joining us in this session, you've already created a hub account and have already set up students to use the 90-day free trial of the literacy solution. If you haven't, no big deal. Just stay with us. We'll get through the presentation, and at the end, I'll give you my contact information, and then I can forward you the information so that you can provide this to parents and students so that they can get that access for distance learning in the home setting. You can also, if you want, you can email info@attainmentcompany.com and ask them for information for the 90-day free trial. You can get it that way if you don't want to wait until the end of the presentation. So during this session, I'm going to go through and show you how to pull up results, the importance of reviewing the results and the data, and then how to guide parents in the next steps for their child when providing distance learning in the home setting. So we all know as educators or as parents that our goal is to turn data into information and information into insight. I love this quote because it is truly our goal today when we're looking at data from our literacy solutions and in general. We're going to look at our data through our web-based literacy solution, and we're going to turn that information into insight. The insight is going to be how we are going to guide the parent or guardian in future lessons for their child or for the student. So I'm going to go through how to pull up the data. So once you sign into the hub, you will click on the Cloud tab. You will find the page with all your students that you have set up. So once you click on that Cloud tab, all of your students will be here, and you will select the student whose data you want to pull up. And then you'll hit the results button on the right. Today, we are going to look at results from each of the literacy solutions. So we're going to do ELSB for older students, then moving on to ERSB, then Access English Language Arts, and then Access English Language Arts Right. You're going to see that there's going to be some repetition. Well, repetition is key for our students, and repetition is key for us as well. The more we do something, the more we see something, the more comfortable we will get with doing it. So Once you click on the results, you're going to get a page like this that will pop up. And on the right-hand side, you'll click on Sort by Date. When you do that, it will give you the information on when the student completed a level, a lesson, or an assessment in the date order that it was completed and the timestamp. So you can see when the student completed it, what time it was, and in the order. It also shows their success, which obviously is going to come into play in these future slides. So once we pull up the results, you're going to click on the one that you really want to look at, right? And when you double click on any of them, they're going to give you more information and more detailed information as to where the problem areas were for that child or for that student, or also it's going to show you what areas were strengths for that student. So this is wonderful. When I clicked on this particular lesson, lesson 2, level 1, lesson 2, I'm curious because it says 0%. Wow, like did the student get all the answers wrong, or did they just not complete it? So once you double click on it, you'll get a results page that's going to pop up, which you can see the results page that's to the right that's popped up. It's a full screen, and it should give you more specific details. You'll also notice that at the top, you're going to have the student's information. So you're going to have the student's name, the date that it was completed, the score or percentage, and the total time that it took for the student to complete the level. Below that should be information, but as you can tell, it looks like Juliana did not actually complete the lesson. So this is good information for us to discuss with the parent when you're guiding them as to which lesson their child needs to repeat or complete. So we know that she did not do this one. So that makes me feel a lot better. It wasn't just 0% because she didn't understand it. It was truly that she didn't actually complete the lesson. When you do click on a lesson that the student has completed, you again will get more specific information. So now we're going to look at assessment level 1 for Juliana. You will notice that the errors are marked with a red X and correct responses are marked with a check mark. It also provides you with how much time it took the student to complete that one objective. So within the assessment, we can tell that Juliana had difficulties with objective 5, which is responding to literal questions about a story. So with that said, think about when she actually completed the assessment. It says here with the timestamp that she completed it at 1:37. This information could be telling. It may be that Juliana is typically used to completing her reading language arts time in the morning. Or maybe she didn't have her visual to show her first you do your work and then you get your tablet time. So all of this is good information to look at and discuss with the parent or guardian. Now, like we said, objective 5 is the problem area for this specific level. So she really didn't do that poorly on this assessment. She got an 80%. But we've determined that for Juliana, she needs about a 90% because we're pushing her a little bit extra hard and we want that to be her expectation. So we're going to guide the parent to have Juliana go back and repeat some instruction on objective 5, which is responding to literal questions about a story. So now I'm going to show you how to do that, or how to guide the parent how to do that. So when you sign into ELSB, you are going to get the screen that shows you when to choose the level or lesson for that specific student. Then, when the main screen opens up where Sam is saying hello, the parent or guardian can click on the word that says objective. Once they do that, they'll get the drop-down menu, and then they'll choose the lesson that you want them to repeat. And then it'll automatically open up to that specific objective lesson. So for Juliana, because she didn't do so well with objective 5, that is why I'm having her go back to level 1, lesson 5, right before the assessment, to get some extra practice within that objective. And then I would guide the parent to have her go back and retest. So just some information for you. End of level assessments should be a 75% or higher to achieve mastery. For some students, you may determine a mastery level at 90% based on the student's individual ability. You guys know your students, you know what's going to be best, but for this, the minimum that we do require is to have that 75% as the minimum. So they can go from 75 to 90 or however you want in between that, or even 100. So once students have completed ELSB, if you felt like that was the appropriate start for them, the next literacy solution is ERSB. So ERSB, very similar to ELSB in the way that you pull up the data and information. Click on the Cloud tab, select the student whose results you want to view, and then click on the results. Again, you'll get to this page. You will get to choose which lesson you want to look at. I want to look at lesson 1. Why, again, did the student do so poorly? So when I open it, I'm getting more specific information to show that the student, Jacob, this time around, did not complete the lesson, which is why he did so poorly on it. Again, you will have all the information up at the top in regards to the name, the score, the date, the time that it was completed, and the actual level and lesson. When I pull up this specific one, I can see that Jacob had difficulties with segmenting. So I can also look at the time that it took for Jacob to finish this, and it could be that he rushed through it. Again, you know your students, so if they rush through it, you can tell by the time that it took for them to complete that specific objective. So again, now that we've determined that segmenting is the problem area in this particular level, what you should do is guide the parent or guardian to provide some extra practice in segmenting in level 15, lesson 3. The great thing, again, with ERSB is that you can guide them directly to that level and the problem area. So when the parent signs on to ERSB, again, much like ELSB, they're going to choose the appropriate level and lesson. Once they do that, they're going to click on the word that says activity. Then they'll get the drop-down menu and they will choose the lesson that you want them to repeat again. So in this particular case, Jacob did not do well on segmenting 1 or segmenting 2. So I would guide the parent to have them go back and repeat segmenting 1 and segmenting 2. And once that's chosen, it'll take them directly to that activity for the student to follow the demonstration and then get the extra practice that they need. With early reading skills builder, the mastery level to move on to the next level is 80%. For some students, again, you might determine a mastery level at 90%. Again, just based on the student's individual ability. Repetition is key for our students with moderate to severe disabilities. And again, you know what they need work on, so you can adjust that based on individual needs. So the next one that I'm going to go through is Access ELA. So Access English Language Arts. This one's a little bit different. This one works on comprehension, vocabulary, sequencing of the story, and it works on stories that are age appropriate for middle school and high school level students. Very similar to ELSB and ERSB in regards to pulling up the data and information. Click on the Cloud tab, click on the student's name, click on the results. When we do that, we get the information that Matthew was able to complete chapters 1 and 2 of Outsiders with 30% accuracy. So again, you should be asking yourself, well, why is it 30%? When you pull up that specific information, you can tell that Matthew, again, didn't complete the assignment, which is why he received that 30%. He got vocabulary, which was awesome. Looks like he didn't get any of those wrong, got them all right. So, but we can tell that the rest of it was unanswered. Again, look at the timestamp, look at the date it was completed. All of that could be information that you can provide to the parent in regards to possibly maybe trying to do this activity at a different time of the day if you see that that's what might be causing the issues. Here's another result for the Outsiders for chapters 1 and 2 for Matthew. He completed it, and it looks like here he got a 66%, which is better than the 30, right? But then we can see that he did really well on literal recall and inferential questioning. This is wonderful information that you can place in your PLAF if this continues to be consistent, that the student is able to have that literal recall or those answering of inferential questions. That's good information that you can provide to the parent, or if you have an IEP meeting, things like that. And you can also see that sequencing was still very difficult for Matthew. So with that said, Access Language Arts is a little bit different. So we can't go in and say, I want him to just work on sequencing, because that was the issue. So what's gonna what the parent, or what you're going to have to guide the parent into doing, is you're going to have to guide them to go back and read the story again and answer the comprehension questions and complete the sequencing that way. You can see that there's 3 different buttons. There's vocabulary, there's prediction, and then there's read. So if I were you, if vocabulary was perfectly fine and the student was able to answer all those questions, probably wouldn't have them go back unless you feel like that's necessary. But I would definitely have them go and work on the read button, which is going to take them to chapters 1 and 2. Read the story, answer the questions, and then also that sequence. It's going to collect that data for you, and you're going to be able to see hopefully some progress within those areas of sequencing that the student had trouble with. With Access ELA, mastery level to move on to the next chapter should be determined by the teacher. So if 80% is chosen and the student is unable to meet that mastery criteria, then have the student repeat the chapters that they had difficulties with. For some of your students, again, you may determine a mastery level at 75% or even 90%, again, just based on each individual's ability. You guys know your students best. If you choose 80%, then that's what you'll have them meet as far as the mastery criteria when looking at the data. Okay, last but not least, our Access ELA Write is awesome. It works on opinion writing and having your students form an opinion based on the stories that were read with Access English Language Arts. Very similar. Click on the Cloud tab, select the student's name that you want to pull up the information on, hit Results. For this particular student, she was working on her opinion paragraph of The Diary of Anne Frank, and she received a 28% with that opinion paragraph. I want to know why she received that 28%. So when I pull up the information, if you look closely at the results, you will see that she chose, I will write about character who is a main Anne Frank. So what she did was she filled in the blank incorrectly. So she had 2 choices that she had to move into the correct spot, 2 word choices, and she obviously had them flipped. And if you look specifically at the information, she did this twice incorrectly. So even though the 2 choices went back to their specific spots, she still went and filled in the sentence incorrectly until the 3rd time when she went and put them in when she put the word in the correct spot and wrote, I will write about Anne Frank, who is a main character. Then with the writing, you have to tell your opinion. And so clearly here, she said that Korana spent time playing with hurt animals. Well, the story that she was reading had nothing to do with anyone by the name of Korana. So that's why it's marked with an X, because that's what she had originally chosen. But then you can see that there's a check mark next to the correct response of, I think Anne was scared. So once she got it wrong the first time, she was able to then choose the answer that was correct to fill in the rest of her opinion paragraph. So with this particular writing, it's clear that Gina did not comprehend the story. So the guidance that I would provide to the parent or guardian would be this. So have them go back and do the pre-teach lesson. So the pre-teach lesson will actually go through and guide them through the process of writing an opinion paragraph. And then after that, have them go back, read again, and then write their story for the opinion paragraph. So when I mean write their story, they're filling in the responses with already pre-programmed choices that are already there that they have to actually just place in the correct spot. If the student does not choose the correct answer, the computer program will either take that option off the board and have them try again to make sure that they choose the correct response. And what it also does is it pulls up the information again from the story so that that student is getting that repetition as well. I had a lot of fun playing with all these different literacy solutions, and I would recommend that you guys play with them too. You can set up like a mock account for yourself and give yourself access to all of these so that you can really see how they work and how best to provide parents or guardians with more information as to how to access the literacy solutions. Just a few more things that I just want to tell you about. I appreciate you guys again for joining me on this webinar. Attainment Company is working hard to make sure that we can provide you guys with some different things for distance learning. If you visit our website, you will see that there are 10 additional ways that we are trying to support you as educators with everything going on with distance learning. We did come up with a PDF document that's titled Tips for Distance Learning, and I can send that to you if you'd like. Once I give you my email information, you can certainly reach out to me and I can send you a PDF copy for you. Or if you want to share it with some of your other colleagues, please do that. When you go to our website, www.attainmentcompany.com, if you click on the link right in the middle of the page across the red bar, it'll take you to this page right here that gives you some other solutions for distance learning. One of the things that I do want to point out is our Lite apps. If you go to the App Store and type in Attainment Lite, several different apps will pop up. These are trials, but they will give you access to some of the content. We are also providing some free virtual lessons that our account managers are creating, and they're still creating them. So we have at least one a week that we're trying to get out to teachers so that it's one less thing you have to do and create. If this is something that you're interested in, you can again email me and I will send them to you as they are created. Also, if you check out our website, we have free lessons from all the different curriculum that we have, or I should say most of the different curriculum that we have. You'll receive the teacher's guide lesson and student workbook pages. And I can tell you that some of them have several lessons that you can use in order to help your students and help guide parents with some more lessons for distance learning. Lastly, just keep checking back on our webinar times. We're going to do different webinars each week, and we will update them here. It's on number 9 where it says show webinar times. Again, Thank you for all that you guys are doing to help teach our students during this difficult time. If you have any questions about anything else that is on this page, please let me know. Here's my contact information. Please reach out to me if something I said on this webinar did not make sense. I will do my best to answer your questions. If I'm not able to, I will definitely guide you in the direction of the account manager that's specific to your state or area. Thank you again, and I hope that you all stay safe and healthy during this time. If you need a certificate of attendance for this, you can also email me, and I will make sure to get that sent to you. Thank you guys so much for all that you do and all the support that you continuously provide our students. Stay safe.